Alex, you are a linchpin of the BBGA. Firstly, how are you feeling about 50 years of the association?
Well, I feel old, but that's in a good sense. I think BBGA. I'm slightly older, but that's from that perspective, that's a long time to be a credible representative organisation in such a wide scope and changing industry. So I think it's worth marking. It's a big milestone. It's such a volatile business. There have been so many things, even in the last 6-7 years. So to still be arguably as strong as ever, probably arguably stronger than it has been, is quite some achievement.
It is pretty amazing. It speaks to the value of the association. Now, could you talk to me a little bit about your role and why you have taken on the role and continue in your role?
Yeah, of course. I think linchpin is a little too kind, but so I'm the vice chair. Joined the board about 6-7 years ago. Really, I think like most people, because you can talk about it or you can do something about it. A lot of us are so busy trying to ply our trade that we don't have time for anything else. So the time you give has to be for a good reason. The BBGA seemed like and continues to be that outlet where you can make a difference. And I think there's multiple inputs. You can shape it, you can get involved in the working groups, which is one of my early involvements, but then you realise with an active board with a vast range of talent, you can move the dial. We are influencing positively our industry, how it's perceived, and I think that the really good thing about it, it's a really democratic organisation. Anyone can get involved. But you're in a group of your peers, so it's all self-balancing. So I think the opportunity to make a positive difference has been really important.
Yeah, and there are many achievements that the association has achieved over the years. And for me, observing, I feel that the almost direct line, the strong relationship that you have with the CAA and the Department of Transport, I've really watched that evolve. Could you let people know, if they don't know, the value of belonging to the BBGA if someone has perhaps a problem in their business that they need to get to officials, where you would be able to help in those instances?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that's been consistent and got better and better. So I think my first discovery of that was as a member, whenever you had a problem, you'd contact BBGA, they would start to give you answers or ask around membership and you'd get answers. Then being on board with the board, realising that there are very genuine direct connections with both the senior levels of the Department for Transport and the regulator. It's not just those relationships, but they have been really pivotal. And I think as it's mutually respectful, it's not a submissive relationship. I think we are very proactive about what issues are, but looking to find collaborative solutions is definitely helped reduce your defensiveness within, we are, as an operator, I'll be whinging and shouting about everything with everyone else because you have an operational pressure. When BBGA approach it isn't with that. It brings that focus, that urgency, but it's respectful, and I think that has really seen things develop. So at every level, really strategically, with the industry's importance as a wealth creator, as facilitating the economy, bluntly. When we're talking about the negative messaging around the industry, I think you hear some of BBGA's language in some of the government statements around aviation, without flattering ourselves, but I think it has a recognition now because we showcase responsible aviation. And I think we also work on another level with them collaboratively in terms of generation aviation and the skills piece around the industry. That is, I think, where we find ourselves as natural allies with the CA and the Department of Transport, promoting our industry and all the good things it does.
And that's a really good point and to pick up on that. So I know that in both senses, I'll speak about the aviation skills platform with somebody else on another video, but for you and for Saxon Air, I know you've got a real commitment to bringing young people into the industry. Can you tell us about your own business, Saxon Air, how that works with you?
Sure. Yeah, we discovered, I think it's really apprenticeships. We realised there's a lot of talent hiding in plain sight that you don't see. I think traditionally, and I think it's still largely the case, is it's on-the-job experience. Everyone got into it accidentally. I suspect you did. I definitely did. I think the entire board of BBGA careers were accidental aviators, and we sort of got used to that. And when you step back, it was actually on one of the BBGA board meetings that somebody challenged us and said, "Well, I've just come from an aviation trade show, and all the airlines and airports were there. Where were you?" And that really stuck with me. Is you have to do something, and we can say we're fragmented and we're small, but you know deep down you haven't done everything you can. And I think by engaging in it and looking at the talent that's coming through, we are more and more just recruiting talent, and then it's how we shape it. And we realise how poor the industry has been about careers pathways and direction for people that want to get into it. So you realise actually there's no reason why we can't structure it. So at Saxon Air we have very much more and more got it embedded in the entire progression from inspiring primary school kids to giving them work experience pathways, to internships, to apprenticeships, to careers. And we'll now be doing it long enough to start to see people who've progressed, not yet from primary school, but and it's incredibly, it's not just rewarding. We see our business, we think it's getting better because we're allowing a bigger pool of talent, and we're learning from wider experience. Traditionally, you recruit other people who have already got that experience. Actually, you can teach the experience if you give a structured training pathway, and that's what we've been trying to do. And I think it also, the byproduct is your community understands you better, rather than being a niche VIP perceived operation. They realise you're a business operating that has opportunities, and it normalises it in a way.
Well, and that aspect of the industry is obviously serving the 1%, but pretty much everybody I know who actually works in the industry is not of the 1%. Everybody has just found a great and interesting, stimulating environment to work in. That's been my observation over the years.
Totally agree with that. I think, yeah, and I think even away from the perceived high net worth, we at our Norwich base, we see all levels of traffic. Interesting throughput in COVID, when it all went quiet, we missed all the general aviation traffic, the survey aircraft, the training aircraft, the medicals. Now, of course, it is the high net worths and all the wealth producers, but it's such a broad brush. And then within the industry, it's not just pilots. I think people know that now, but most jobs here are fully accessible. You don't need a bank of mum and dad to get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything about Saxon Air that's coming up that we should know that you want to share with the membership and wider afield?
I think we're known for our jets and helicopter operation. Our helicopter operation in particular is expanding rapidly. I think we are looking to have more of a visible footprint away from just our Norwich base. We have this schizophrenic existence where a lot of our business is from Norwich, but our operations are London, UK, based aircraft around the UK and Europe. One of the things we're really going to be pushing though is low zero emissions flight training. We've started our electric flight training school. We're really looking at the future flights and how the next few years we transition from current forms of aviation technology to some of the newer platforms, and then how we, back to the skills piece, how we train people and evolve into that. So I think a lot more around electric flight training is going to be a theme for this year, so watch that space.